Hi, I'm Mike Nazarian. I'm here with Fredrick Clary, a chiropractor from Minnesota, and he's also a power lifter, which to me would be like being a dermatologist who also sunbathes. It seems like you know what I mean?
Oh no, absolutely. It's a little bit of an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Um, and the reason I got Michael, the reason I got into chiropractic was because of powerlifting, some injuries. I'm originally from Baltimore. Now I live here and have a practice in Minnesota. I've been a chiropractor for 29 years. I'm actually a chiropractic neurologist. There's a handful of us across the country. I specialize in neurological conditions like cerebral palsy and Parkinson's, and my main strength and my main focus is stroke rehabilitation. So I've been doing that for a while. The way I got into chiropractic, I started powerlifting. I think my first powerlifting meet was 1981. I was 14 and started competing in Maryland. And I deadlifted 800 as a teenager. My WPC, my world record deadlift still stands from 1987. I pulled 782 at a national meet as a teenager. So that's still around. That's back before they had, suits that help you so much.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, if you hold a record from back, before like the late '90s, it's impressive because
Yeah, I mean back then, the knee wraps we use were like more like ace bandages. I was in the gym the other day, and one of the USAPL guys was like trying to get on his knee sleeves, and I'm like, he goes, I'm raw, and I'm like, dude, that gave you more pounds and more helps than our suits and our wraps we had back in the 80s,
yeah, my sister-in-law, like we compete in 100% raw, like, and you're allowed now. Like we used to be in the ADAU, the Anti-Drug Athletes United. It was like
Okay.
in the Ohio, New Jersey, New York area, and the guy who ran it passed away, and 100% raw took it over. And now they allow knee sleeves, and I don't train with them because I never did, And but my sister-in-law, she wanted to try them on. We were in our living room. We were dragging her around the living room trying to get them on. It was crazy.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I mean, I practice and equipped. I've done single ply, multiply, raw, naked knees, raw. I've done all those things over the years. The only reason I compete equipped now is because of all my injuries. I just, I'm 53. So if I want to keep competing, I got to have something hold me together. I got a big practice and I can't be limping around all the time. I'm one of those weird guys where I accept all federations. I'm a referee and judge in 4 federations. I probably sponsor and give advertising money to every single meet, that comes in Minnesota. I don't care. I'm for powerlifting, but I started, in the dark ages. My first meet, like I said, was 81. I was a pre-med. One time I went to University of Maryland, I was pre-med, going to be a cardiologist, trying to keep training for national meets, and I hurt myself. I said, so I decided to go to the junior nationals, which had nothing to do with age back then, had to do with levels. Senior was the top, and that's where you pick the world team. I said, I'll go to the junior, what would be called open nationals in most federations now. I was limping around, and I ran into this guy that was about 150 pounds, soaking wet, working on a portable table, working on some of the big guys. And he says, come over here, I can fix you. And I'm like, you're crazy. There's no way you can help me. Of course, I knew everything. I was pre-med, medicine was everything. And I said, okay, you can't hurt me. My quad was bigger than his whole torso. So, I laid down, and in 5 minutes, he got me out of pain for the first time in 6 months. So I realized I was ignorant, lack of knowledge. Went back home, went to the library, looked things up, visited a few chiropractors. And in a few months, I found a school that would get me in right away. Which is up here in Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Northwestern College of Chiropractic. And I've stayed here ever since.
All right. So what's your biggest accomplishment? That 800-pound deadlift in powerlifting?
Oh, my biggest accomplishment in powerlifting. Um, I would say my biggest accomplishment in powerlifting is not the lifting. I mean, my biggest lifts are in competition are 940 squat back in the days when you had to walk them out. I did a 540 bench and 805 deadlift many times a competition. I never trained the deadlift that hard because I trained it every other week because I'd get too tired because you're heavy squatting. So I would go every other week training deadlift. So I've pulled 840 or 850 in the gym. But of course that doesn't count, it only counts what's on paper. So I did 805. But I think my biggest accomplishment was I used to run the state meets. And in 1997, I think the year was, I ran the ADFPA, which is now the US APL. I ran their state meet and the APF meet. So I ran the tested and non-tested in the same year. I was the meet directors, which for me, that gives me a lot of pride because, I didn't want to ever, I'm like Switzerland. I don't want to get involved in the politics. I don't care where you train, what you do. You're a power lifter. Just don't cheat because we're going to catch your ass. So, I mean, and then we'll throw you out. I mean, I kind of have a point. It's like, you do what you want in your life, but if you're smoking cigarettes, just go outside,
Like my goal, right? Like my greatest achievement in powerlifting would be if someone drug tested me.
Oh yeah.
It's a big joke because no one's going to drug test Mike. Everyone knows like he's anything. So if I was one, they take all the big people, the people that broke records. Like one day I want to be one of those people to go and get drug tested.
I was in the 80s tested many times. And so one of my big accomplishments is I trained with a guy, he may even be listening to this now when you put it out, is Kim Sarton, big black guy, good friend of mine. He trained with me for years. And he would go to all the APF meets with us and the US Apple meets, which were ADFPA back then. And they would test him every single time. They test him before, after. I remember when I started to do a little comeback, I took some time off for chiropractic school. I went to a meet in Fargo, North Dakota. They tested me before weigh-ins when I walked in.
Yeah.
Fred, well, you're going to be tested because then you did what, a 10% rule or something. And I go, give me the thing now, that way I don't have to worry about it and I can get on the road and get back home. So, I mean, quite honestly, I know it's a big ballyhoo. Different groups get cliquey and all that. But personally, me, I've always been, Switzerland. I'm like, you need a spot, I'm going to spot you. What's your training program look like? Are you using supplements or not? Guess what? You should use this. No, you got to do this. Let's use bands, chains. I'm always the guy in the stands yelling the loudest. I'll be helping you load the weights, and I don't care what federation it is. It's an old way of looking at lifting, but that's the way I was raised. And you just support everybody, and more of a libertarian approach. And you don't have to be cliquey. Just prove it on the platform.
Well, I've always said I've been involved in a few different sports, but powerlifting is the most tight. Like everyone's, I mean, I've heard rare occasion, a beef or something, but overall, like the community is very like nice to each other.
Oh, it's amazing. So, I just recently won the Masters WPC Worlds. Even with COVID, we've actually had the WPC and APF have been trying to push it, keep going. So is the USPA. I just judged a meet in Fargo, North Dakota, just a couple of weeks ago. Well, in 2018, when I was starting to make a comeback, bad back, herniated disc. I mean, I'm a wreck. And I had my gear bag in our little car. My 16-year-old goes out to start it because it's cold here in Minnesota to warm it up. And someone came by and stole the car. Now I wasn't worried about the BMW being stolen. I was more upset that my gear bag with my knee wraps, my squat suit and belt were in there. I put something out on Facebook, and when I showed up to squat and didn't know what I was gonna do, I was 3 weeks out from a meet, 3 weeks out from the world championships. There were people showing up to give me equipment, belt, shoes, everything. I mean, what other sport would do that, you know?
I don't think many.
Yeah.
All right, so chiropractic. Is that a word? Chiropractic?
No, it's chiropractic. Yeah.
Okay. So I know some people that go like fairly often, like every week, every other week to a chiropractor. Like, is there a scenario where like they would actually need that, or like they getting scammed?
So let me back up. So chiropractic started in 1895 in Iowa. It's an American healthcare profession. This guy named David Palmer started messing with a guy that was really busted up, and he said, "Hey, look at this bone. It's kind of moved out of the place, and I think everything's supposed to be lined up. That would make sense to me. You know, it's just common sense." So he started jumping on his butt and got some improvement. So it's evolved since then. We're in Medicare, Medicaid. You know, you have to have a doctorate degree. Like I said, I was pre-med, going to be a cardiologist, and the textbooks I used in chiropractic school were the same ones my friends who went on to be surgeons and medical doctors. We would complain. We come home for Christmas and Thanksgiving. We're complaining about the same stuff. They're like, "You really take that much stuff?" I said, "Yeah, it's 4,000 hours." Well, medical school's 4,000 hours. It's the same now.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those things when you're the redheaded stepchild of healthcare, you're the small guy, you know, people beat around and lie about you, you know? So it's the same amount. The goal is very similar to physical therapy, that if a joint's not working properly,
Yeah.
if your nervous system and your musculoskeletal system is not working properly, if your frame is not working properly, then you may have a functional problem. It goes hand in hand with lifting in all sports. Like if I watched your squat and said, "You know what, you need to move your toes out a little bit,
Yeah.
you know, just to open up your knees and your pelvis, you know, so you can get down lower and faster." That's a functional thing. I actually am moving your structure to make you functionally better. What kills me is people say, "Oh, chiropractic's not good." I'm like, you're a power lifter. Everything's about form and technique, and moving your hand half an inch on the bar can make a change when you're bench pressing. Are you kidding me? That can't be real. And they laugh at me and say, "Yeah, I'm being facetious." But that's what chiropractic looks at. Now, here's the problem. A lot of chiropractors, there's many schools of thought in chiropractic. I'm one of those guys that, you know, if you're a power lifter and you want to perform at the top, you come in as often as you need to. And if you have a genetic weakness or an inherent weakness, you want that worked on. Okay. So, you know, we don't give people pills or potions or lotions or an injection like the medical community. I put my hands on you and fix you and try to correct your frame.
Right. So like I have a chronic issue with like my hips, right?
Yeah.
So I have like a double impingement, you know, like a certain camber, and I have I'm muscularly, I'm trying to work on it because I think I have like weak glutes compared to my quads. So I have the whole pelvis, you know, it rotates the anterior. Right?
Yeah, it's forward. Yeah.
Right. So generally, what I do is to loosen it up, and it makes it better. Is I get on a table, you know, I lay my leg off and I stretch my quads, and I don't stretch my hamstrings, and that generally kind of tightens it up. I mean, it loosens up my quads and helps my hips to rotate forward. But still, sometimes when I walk, like my leg wants to fall in, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, is that something that a chiropractor could address?
Oh, absolutely. We do that every day. That would be easy. Some chiropractors take x-rays and would look for all the structural changes in your nominate, your sacroiliac joint, your sacrum, your lumbar, you know, your femur head. They would look at that and say, "Okay, we got to move this 2 millimeters this way." Functional guys like me would watch you walk. and say, okay, why isn't your hamstring firing? Why isn't your quad firing? Yeah, your SI is closed. I guarantee it's closed on the left. It's open on the right. And I said, we got to close this. We got to bring you closer to anatomically normal and functionally normal if we can. If you have like you're missing pieces, someone fractures their body, you know, you have a bone spur, your anatomy is never going to be the same. So I have to work around that anatomy, and a functional chiropractor will make you work despite your anatomy. So that's one thing to look at. And that's what we do. There's a lot of schools of thought in chiropractors. And here's the thing. There's good sports chiropractors out there, and that's where you want to go to, where, you know, we have more training. But there's some chiropractors say, I don't care. I'm just going to make your frame normal. Well, if you look at me, you know, I've torn every muscle, you know, 2 pec tears, 2 quad tears. Right now I have 4 fractures in my low back because, you know, training so hard at this age, herniated disc. I have all these issues. My structure, my frame is never going to be the same. I'm like that old beat up car you had in high school, right? You're just trying to nurse it. Well, you can't treat me like you can a totally structurally normal person. And that's where, you know, you're really good chiropractors say, okay, we can't do this. And just like a good trainer in powerlifting, well, maybe one foot has to be out a little bit and one foot straight because structurally you're not the same. I remember when I was working with a state champ here, he benched 600 pounds raw. He tore his pec a little bit. We actually had to move the tear side in, so he used more tricep, right? More narrow grip, and kept that out. Well, Fred, that's asymmetrical. He is asymmetrical. He tore his pec. He'll never be symmetrical again. He's going to look terrible on the beach. He'll never win a bodybuilding contest. He's not symmetrical. So guess what? His form and his technique has to be asymmetrical to match his frame. Does that make sense?
You know what? I've never seen it, but it makes a lot of sense. You know, I really want you to talk to my wife for a second because she has this horrible elbow injury. She really can't open up her arm all the way.
Yeah.
She benches like one elbow is in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other, like the one arm goes, like the elbow tucks in a little bit and goes out, but this one, it kind of like stays in, and she has her shoulder's killing her.
Well, yeah, the shoulder's probably compensating for the elbow, right? The elbow came first.
Yeah.
Well, an elbow injury could be, okay, are we looking at supportive structure, like your pronator teres, little tiny chicken nugget muscle in the front? Anconeus, it's actually a muscle. It's in the back of your tricep, tiny little muscle. It's a supporting muscle, like the rotator cuff in the shoulder. Well, it could be that. Or did she pinch off a piece of cartilage that's going in the back of the elbow, right? Or, you know, there's many things that could do. You have to get to someone who can address it, because just saying, oh, I got an elbow injury. Well, you may not. It may be a muscular, it may be bony. You have a bone spur, you're stuck with it. We have to change your form. But a good chiro would be able to see that and address it.
Yeah, I just called her real quick on the phone to come down. Yeah, really interesting. I never thought of that one hand could be off on the bar.
Well, and that's the thing with the technique. I invented a technique myself in chiropractic. It's called functional analysis. So I teach it all across the country. I think I've only missed like 2 or 3 states. So I used to be on the road a lot before my kids, they got older, they're teenagers. I want to hang out with them more before they get out of the house. But what I do is look at you functionally. And same as in powerlifting. All right. So, you know, do you need to sumo squat or do you need to conventional, right? For your structure.
Hold
do you
on.
need, okay.
Yeah. I want you to talk to my wife for 1 second.
Okay.
Hello. It's my wife, Jill Nazari.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
She's a doctor too, but in English.
Okay.
All right. So you want to show me your elbow? Or no?
You can't see it with all the tattoos.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we want to tell them the injuries you had?
I had a dislocated elbow and a shattered ulna and radius.
Oh, okay.
And
so did you get any pins or plates put into it?
I had a plate put on and then it was removed.
Okay. Did they take it out?
They did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is get an x-ray, make sure that, you know, there's no extra bone left behind. A lot of times when you injure any joint, any bone, you actually start growing a little piece of bone there. Most likely you have a problem in some of the supportive musculature, like the pronator teres, tiny little muscle in the front that protects the elbow. And, you know, you find someone good who gets in there to loosen that up and see if you can get the range of motion back. When you dislocate that elbow, that radial head just pops, right? Pops out. You got to see if there's a piece of cartilage stuck there. And that'll keep you from preventing locking out all the way.
Yeah, it's. Oh, go ahead.
I don't have full. I was never able to achieve full range of motion, so I don't have full extension, and I don't have full like
pronation, supination. Yeah.
So and that's the shoulder that's hurting you, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, so but he just reminded me about it because when he was saying that he had a friend who had an injury and he made him bench offset. Like he actually, you know, is not benching the same exact spot. And I was like, oh, maybe that's something that could work for you because she's just her shoulder pain, you know. You
don't use an even grip, do you?
I do, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so are you symmetrical? No,
yeah.
Your elbow's not. So why would you use a symmetrical grip with an asymmetrical frame?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So, and that's part of finding a specialist. Like you asked me in the beginning of the podcast, you know, a chiropractor is also, again, I've been in this sport since 1981. So you just have to apply those principles to, you know, the injuries you're seeing. She probably has to change her grip on that side because her shoulder can't fully rotate, right? You can't engage your serratus anterior. Offset it.
Different places when
it may have to be more of a 90-degree angle. You know, you're going to have to play around to see what works. I mean, if I could see it, I could tell you what you need. You know, if I could see you bench it.
And then send it to you.
Yeah, just send me a bench video, and we'll play around with it.
All right, cool.
Thanks. Thank you. Anyway, you should follow her at JM Naziri. She's really good. She's really good.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, my wife's good too. She's going to be in the WPO in August. She squatted 564 course equipped at 148.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're old.
Yeah. She's 102 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she's deadlifting 250. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. How did you get into powerlifting?
Well, thank you. Someone's finally asking me a question. Me and my wife went to St. Francis College, and there was a powerlifting team there.
Okay.
And she got injured in late junior year or senior year of high school. She was on a ship, but a really big sailing ship.
Okay.
Volunteering, and they had a tarp up over the cabin top and over a pipe. They told her to go up there and paint the mast, and she just stepped on the tarp, and it was just nothing there.
Ouch.
So that's how she hurt her arm. Anyway, so she had 2 surgeries, and the doctor told her, you know, you should exercise to make sure you don't get arthritis. You know, I guess they really weren't talking about powerlifting, but you know, she was in the gym, and she was on the treadmill a lot, and the coach, he was like, you're going to powerlift. And she was like, okay.
Okay, sure.
And I was on the swim team. I went there with the swimming scholarship, and I would hang around the gym and work out. And I just happened to like it. I wasn't good at it at all. Actually, I was squatting just what she was at the time. She was squatting 95 pounds, and the coach, she made me go and squat 95 pounds with her and a couple other girls. The guys were on another squat rack squatting a bunch of weight. And then I was so bad at first. They used to call me the Riddler because that's what my back looked like. It looked like a question mark. That's how bad it was. It was horrible. Now it's gotten a lot better now. My squat is pretty good now. At least for my first rep. Okay. Then with each rep, I turn it more into a good morning.
Okay.
but at least my back is staying flat. My deadlift, I don't post those on Instagram because I don't want to hear all the comments. But I'm telling you, like after this, I've been doing this for 18 years.
Okay.
We started in 2001, and there were a lot of times I stopped because I was a police officer for 13 years, and you know, you have to stay overnight and just mess up your training schedule. So I would stop here and there, but I'd always start again. But after this competition, June 13th, I am not picking up a deadlift unless my back is dead straight. Not do it. You know, because I can't switch now. If I switch now, I won't pull anything at this meet.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I really don't care what it looks like or what anyone says. I'm going to this meet, I'm pulling, and then I'm going to work on it afterwards.
Well, that's actually what I've been doing for a couple of years. I mean, you know, my back is so bad. I think in the worlds I pulled like 400 pounds, squatted 8 something, but you know, I'm like, you know, what do I need to win? You know,
yeah. Well, the thing I like about powerlifting, it's like, I mean, it's very rare I beat someone. You know, if I ever win, it's because no one was in my weight class.
Okay.
But, you know, I win if I beat, you know, I set a new PR.
Yep.
I won.
Yeah.
No, that's what I consider winning.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. It's, you know, it's one of those, it's a cool sport where there is competition. Like my wife in the WPO, it's the 30 top women, 30 top men in the world equipped, and it's all done on formula. So everyone competes against everyone. But the way we look at it, it's like with our busy schedule, she's a midwife, I'm a chiropractor. You know, we have 4 kids at home now, 4 teenagers, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, you know, daughters. So we're busy, you know, and constantly moving, just getting on the platforms a win. And if I can do a little better than the last meet, or I always pick one thing that I want to improve on. You know, it's like, oh, I want my bench to look like this. I want this to happen. So, you know, what do I want to accomplish? With my back being so bad this year, I'm going to go to nationals in June in Florida, and I'm just going to do bench only. And if I get like a 550, I'm like, okay, that's good. I'm happy with that. But, you know, I'm going down there just to coach the people, but I like to compete too. You know, I like to smell the ammonia and put chalk on my hands and have some fun. That has never gone away since I was a kid. Yeah, you know, it different priorities, but again, with powerlifting, you can kind of pick, you know, what you want to accomplish, even if it's just, I want to squat 5 pounds more than the last meet.
Yeah. What training method do you follow?
We use, the team I'm with is called Team Nemesis. It's about 15 or 20 of us. And like, you know, I guess I can say it now, like during the quarantine and they closed the gyms, we just went to a basement. It looks like you're in a basement too. We went to a friend's basement and we started training because we weren't going to stop. And I mean, if you think about it, these people were like family, was sweating on each other 3 times a week. Yeah, it's okay. We share our bugs now. If one of my training partners gets a cold, we all get it. So, you know, we're okay. So the methods we use are pretty much a modified West Side conjugate system. A lot of bands, a lot of chains, a lot of boards. I like Metal Militia's view of doing bench pressing. I love it. So if you say you want to bench 500 pounds, well, you start your training cycle with 500 to a 4 board, then to a 3 board, then a 2 board, then a 1 board, then a half board, then you do it. Of course, you're doing full range other things, but I think that works good for shirted benching, raw benching, injury prevention. I like the idea of constantly holding the weight for your nervous system, the full weight, the entire training cycle, but not stressing it with the full range the entire time. And that's worked really good, you know, for me. I just like the idea of not trying to do a Western periodization where you're, you know, you go 8 and 6 and 4 and 2 and 1. Well, our nervous systems don't work like that. Our bodies, human bodies don't work like that. We go through peaks and waves. had those bad days where you walk down, you think you're strong, you're doing good, and you have a terrible training session. And we've all had those days where I feel like crap. I think I'm coming down with a cold. I didn't eat right. I was stressed out at work. I get in there and I have PRs, you know? So you can't really follow that. With a conjugate system, you just change things in waves every 3 weeks. So your assistance work or your secondary work after your prime movements would be, say, box squats. You do that for 3 weeks. Then you do chains for 3 weeks. Then you do bands. Then you do maybe a safety bar, a cambered bar. And you just keep rotating. So your body really never adapts, you know, and that way you keep getting those little gains all the way through.
Yeah, I love the chains and the bands.
Yeah.
Great. You know, the old school was the rack pulls.
Yep, that's what we used to do back then. Yep.
Yeah, like my coach started. I mean, he started lifting before 1978, but you see it on the wall back there. I got it up there. It's the Wrecking Crew, established.
Okay.
You know, like back like when they were lifting in the 70s and early 80s and stuff. I mean, that's all they were doing was bending bars and inside the squat rack. You know.
Yep.
And one of the crazier things that they did, this was back in the 70s. So they were taking the bar, getting it up like 3/4 of the way, right? Hitting the pins.
Yeah.
Pressing against the pins until like they almost blacked out.
Yes.
I was like, you guys thought this was a good idea? They were like, well, you know, we're trying things.
Yeah, we called those isometric lockouts. You did that with bench too. So someone would give you the bench, you'd bring it down, and your training partners would shove the damn pins in, right? And then you come in and you couldn't get full lockout, and you're pushing and you're shaking. I'm like, what the hell? You know, yeah, but again, the only equipment we had was a rack back then. We did a lot of lockouts, like you said, a lot of pin pushes where they put the pin underneath. So we'd have 2 sets of pins, one here, and you're just banging back and forth. I'm like, oh my God, you know, it's wondered we weren't more injured. I think I got more injuries and chronic problems training that way in the early 80s than I do now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, I think I'm paying for all that craziness.
Do you coach anyone?
Oh yeah. Well, we have 15 to 20 people that we usually have as our team. And like, I'll go in there and I'll help. All right, I'm going to help, I'm going to help this one today, this one, I'm going to help her. And we work that way. I do a lot of chiropractic coaching, actually. I'm a specialist. So, people pay me, they'll send me their MRIs, they'll send me their stuff and say, what's going on with my patient? Do this, this, and this. I also do some stuff for some MMA guys because my technique, I look at movement. So they send me a tape of their opponent and I'm saying he's got a bad knee and I'm like a shot caller and he's got a bad hip. He's favoring that foot. The foot hasn't fully healed. What you need to do is this and that. So, and I do some like bodybuilding coaches. I'm a bodybuilding judge, NPC judge. I do some bodybuilding coaching. I help host and sponsor bodybuilding shows too. I love that sport too. I mean, like I said, I'm Switzerland. I'm like, hey, it's all good. If it has to do with weights, do it. I used to hang out with a guy named Pavel Sasulin. He used to be here in St. Paul. We used to work out together in the 90s. And you know him from the kettlebell fame. He wrote all those books on kettlebells. Pavel's crazy. He's in Santa Barbara now, living his best life on the beach, from all the books. But he went to do kettlebell stuff. I'm like, oh, I'll help you do stuff. Let's get that going. So, as long as it's lifting, I'm good with it. But I do some powerlifting coaching on the side and some bodybuilding coaching. I'll tweak diets and tweak routines. I've worked with some top people, national people.
You went through a bunch of things and you said that as long as it's lifting related, I'm good with it. But there's one thing you left out, and I always ask people, why do you hate CrossFit?
Oh my God. You got me. Yes. You go into a bar. How can you tell someone's a vegetarian or CrossFitter? You don't have to guess. They're going to tell you.
Well, I mean, it probably like all your clients, right?
I have plenty of CrossFitting clients. In the building I share, the realtor in the front of the building in his office, he's a CrossFitter, about the same age, late 40s, early 50s. Oh my God, he comes over and tells me his routine, his workout of the day all the time, his WOD every day. And he's like, oh yeah, I did 50 burpees and we did snatch pulls and all that. And I just shake my head. I just shake my head. These people are constantly injured, and not him, but I've been adjusting him once a week forever. So maybe he is always injured and I'm just maintaining him.
Lifters don't know how to do Olympic lifting.
Yeah. Have you ever tried that, Michael?
I know enough to know not to do Olympic lifting because you know what I mean? It's a serious sport and I wouldn't do it without having a serious coach like training on it. Plus,
you need a real one.
Plus, I know enough to know that powerlifting is a sport that anyone can do.
Yes.
You might not be good at it, but anyone can start with the bar. Even if you do just the bar, 45 pounds, you're powerlifting.
Yes.
But not everyone can do a snatch.
No, and you shouldn't.
You have
physically.
You have to be extremely fast. You have to have incredible balance. You have to have neuromuscular system that knows exactly where you are at all times perfectly.
Correct.
You have to be an athlete. You have to be a real athlete. And I'm not an athlete, but I can do powerlifting. I can't do Olympic lifting. Yeah,
I was an athlete in high school. I threw shot and discus and did some sprinting, did the 100. And I also was a football player as an offensive guard, pulling, guard. Right now I'm about as athletic as a piece of wood, but I can still power lift, right? Olympic lifting, I tried it. I can't, my arms are too big. I have 20-inch arms. I can't get back like that. I used to run up to, I was in Baltimore. So York, PA, York barbell is only hour drive, solid hour drive. So as soon as I turned 16, I was up there all the time watching some of those guys and taking seminars. I can't do that stuff. My shoulder doesn't rotate that way. And that's okay. Not everyone's built for it. Like you said, you got to have balance, good flexibility. To think that you can take someone off the street and train them. Let me give you a good example. Another chiropractic neurologist, Dr. Tammy from Milwaukee. She may be listening to this. So she's been coming to my classes and seminars and she says, Fred, I'm going to start some lifting. I go, what are you doing? CrossFit. Well, after I'd giggle and laugh and say, okay, I'm glad you're doing something. It's better than sitting on the couch, eating Twinkies, watching Netflix. I said, but be careful. You can get injured with Olympic lifting. You got to get a good coach. And I go, I've been lifting my whole life. I still can't do a snatch. There's no way. I'm not physically can't. You got to be careful. So about 2 months later, she messages me. She Facebook messages me and says, I'm doing my first meet. And I'm thinking, I'm hoping powerlifting, right? No, she did the Wisconsin State Olympic lifting, weightlifting meet. Well, of course, she hasn't done it ever since because she got hurt, and it's a shame, she's a great gal, but I'm like, you can't do it. I mean, I spent hours with the coach trying to do it. I don't know if you know who Ken Patera is, the wrestler. He was the first guy to throw 500 pounds over his head, the Olympic lifter. He got bronze in the 72 Olympics. I used to work out at his gym in St. Paul, Minnesota here. And Ken would be at the front and he made fun of us powerlifters all the time. And this is when I'm doing near 900 squats, pulling over 800, benching 5. And he's like, you could never do a clean and jerk and you could never do that. And I'm like, and it's like, screw you, Ken, put some weight on the ground. Right. And I'm thinking in my mind, I can do a power clean and I'll just split jerk it up. I picked this. I think we put 405 on the bar. I got it to my chest, dropped under it. Then I banged into the wall, almost took out all his mirrors. You know what I mean? I'm like, put it down. I busted up his place. And I just walked up and shook his hand. I said, I shouldn't have done that. You're a different sport. That was dumb. That was total ego talking. And he's just sitting there laughing, of course. He says, you're going to buy me a new wall. I wanted that painted anyway, And And it's a totally different sport. You can't compare the two.
Well, since I started doing this podcast, I spoke with like two really great Olympic lifters. And, you know, I always thought that since they're using less weight,
yeah,
that it would be easier on the body.
No.
You know, because I'm like, well, you're not you know, doing a clean with 800 pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
It should be easier. But when they explain to me the movements and how hard they're slamming down and how like if they don't balance right, you know, the arm goes back or something, you know, like it's a sport that's like really, really hard on your body.
Yeah. And we look at Ken Patera, of course, he was a wrestler and banged himself up, but he's had knee replacements, shoulder replacements, you know, all that. And, you know, a lot of those injuries were already started because I was his chiropractor. Were already started way before he was a wrestler, you know, from that Olympic lifting in the 70s. He had, you know, they just wrecked themselves. I mean, can you imagine holding a snatch? Just like, and he was doing almost 400 pounds. He did 400 pounds. But can you imagine just in training, you're doing 300 pounds, holding that overhead like that? That's insane.
Yeah, not for me. So I ask guys that are like, that coach a lot of people, right? I always ask them the same question is, who would you rather coach, guys or girls? And they usually always say they'd rather coach girls because they just listen better. The guys they have to argue with and stuff. But I'm wondering in like the medical field even, right? Like are the female clients like listening more to the advice you're giving them and like doing what you tell them to do more than the guys?
I'm going to answer that two ways. Yes and yes. I mainly coach the females. I don't like male bodybuilders. I'll send them to my buddy Randy Shar. He's a bodybuilding guru here in town because I can't stand it. You give the girls a diet and a training routine, they'll give you feedback. This isn't working, that. Okay, tweak this, tweak that. Same in powerlifting. In my office, women, if you tell them, I want you to do the stretch, I want you to ice, stop doing this activity, I don't want you to do the laundry for a while, give me 1 week to get this joint moving better, they will listen. Guys, he's like, oh, what does he know? You know, he's just a chiropractor. He popped my back, I feel better, you know, whatever. I'm like, really? So I would rather in healthcare, and this I'm like, they call me the doctor to the doctors. I probably 20 to 25% of my practice is other doctors and their families, MDs, podiatrists, dentists, chiropractors, because I teach so much. And I'd rather have a female any day, a woman any day, cares more about their health. And if you say, you know what, with this COVID thing going around, up your zinc, up your vitamin D, get more water, get more rest, get some protein, make sure you're bulletproof for this thing. They do it. I had a guy come in, oh, I got the COVID, I was sick and all that. And I'm like, dude, didn't I tell you 3 months ago to do this, this, and this? Well, yeah, but I didn't want to do it. Oh, okay. You know.
Yeah. You know, you reminded me when you're talking about the vitamins eating healthy for this whole, especially for COVID.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's saying, you know, socially distance, but why won't they say to eat healthy?
Oh, I agree. My main thing with this whole pandemic, it's a pandemic of ignorance, lack of knowledge. If you're going to be so scared, socially distanced, shut gyms down, put on masks, okay, that's fine. You should put the same energy on TV and in the mass media on eating healthy or eating vegetables and fruits. Yeah. If you're not eating vegetable and fruits, you better damn well be taking some vitamin supplements or you get enough protein. What do you think antibodies are made out of? Twinkies? No, protein. So you have to have protein to make antibodies. Are you eating good protein? I was shocked at, you know, if you look at all the people that are really getting sick from this, they're all overweight. And I mean overweight, really obese fat with a lot of visceral fat. Their diets suck. Vitamin D is low. I mean, to me, it's common sense. You know, if you're training someone, Michael, in powerlifting, and they're out drinking the night before the contest, they're, not eating their protein, they're not taking care of themselves, and they get hurt in the meat. You're like, well, of course, you set yourself up for failure. I just think we're setting the whole generation, the whole population up for failure by not telling them what they need to do.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But plus, I hear you listen to Joe Rogan.
Yes, all the time.
Everyone I ask that just says yes. He's got a beef with like the chiropractors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I think what he doesn't see is that like, well, it started off a little weird.
Yes, it did.
But you could also make that same claim with like the AMA and the regular medical establishment.
Oh, correct.
Because a lot of where that started from was snake oil and stuff too.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna go with that argument, how it exactly started, yeah, the guy might have been a little weird, crazy, but there were crazies on the other side, and it just got a little more medically advanced. I mean, I think it sounds like to me, I don't know, you tell me, I don't know what I'm talking about. There's chiropractors out there that are more scientific based now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, and I understand Joe Rogan, and a lot of people have those beefs. I get referrals from medical doctors, surgeons. Like I had my shoulder done by Peter Parton in Summit Orthopedics. Like when he went in there, he used calcium screws, because when you use calcium screws, that pulls the tendon in. Over a year, your bone will actually think that is, real elemental calcium and pull it in. You could MRI my shoulder now and you can't tell I ever tore anything. Yeah. But those are the guys I work with who refer to me. You have to look at the history. I'm a big history buff. I'm a history nut. My wife hates it. I always get history books. I also get history on medicine. I have old medical textbooks from Johns Hopkins. I have their textbooks they use to train their students. And I have one from 1902. And in it, it says if you have tertiary syphilis, right? It's a sexually transmitted disease caused by a bacteria. We just give people penicillin now, they're fine. But back then, it really wiped out people. Napoleon had it, all that stuff. It makes you crazy, causes all these problems. They were giving intramuscular injections of pure mercury and making them smoke arsenic. 1902. So again, I would never say that medical doctors are quacks, because 120 years ago, they did some crazy shit. You can go right now on the internet, just Google medical doctors and smoking. Medical doctors were advertising, hey, here's Camels unfiltered. 7 out of 8 surgeons recommend this. And that was only 50 years ago. So they've come a long way too. We've come a long way. But here's the thing. We've come a long way just since I've been out. So I've been a chiropractor 29 years. When I got out, we just got rights to refer for MRIs, then blood work, all the physical therapy we can do now. Incrementally, as we've shown that our profession's growing and more scientific. So now in some states, there's not that much difference, except we don't do the drugs and surgery. Yeah. So, but there's still some chiropractors out there, like I just told you, that would look at your wife's frame and say, oh, everything's got to be the same, and keep adjusting that same damn elbow, even though it's structurally not the same. You know what I'm saying? It's the same as a powerlifting coach, trying to make your wife bench press symmetrically when she's not symmetrical. It makes no sense. You have to work with the client, the power lifter, or the patient in front of you, not what's in your head or in a textbook. I've never treated a textbook yet. I'm waiting for one to get up and walk in my office. So I treat the human.
Not treat. How do you find a good chiropractor?
That's the hard thing. Our schools are not state run. They're all independent. Like Belinda, she's a midwife, traditional midwife, and she went to one of the only state schools in Wisconsin. So there's a lot of, I can say, oversight. We have national oversight, but every chiropractic school is a little different. I would say the number one thing is find a big time athlete and find out who they use. I also have a network of people I can call around. If I need to get you somebody, I'll find someone in your area and go to them. And that's basically how you do it. I do hardly any advertisement. I think my wife finally changed my Facebook page, or not Facebook, my website. It's the same one from the late 80s. I didn't care, because when someone comes into me and they say, you know, oh, I heard from you on an advertisement, I'm like, whoa, you don't want to see me. You got to come into my office referred by somebody. It's the best way.
Yeah. All right. Back to the gym. What's the dumbest thing you've ever seen in the gym?
The dumbest thing I've ever seen in the gym? Oh my God. Oh, can I talk about injuries? I guess I should say this. Yeah. So whoever's listening or whatever, and I hate, because this is horrible. Young kid, probably 14, 15, 16, him and his gym bro friends from high school come in, they're doing the leg press. And you know, in the leg press, you can load a lot of weight, right? They loaded over 1,000 pounds. And they're like, I think the biggest one of them was maybe $160 soaking wet. So they're down there, the guy wraps his knees, unhooks the thing, and everyone's yelling, go, go, go. And of course, he's only going to press it like 4 inches, right? He presses it 4 inches, goes to put the brake on coming down, and misses it. You know, sometimes you can miss. Yeah. He flipped up and he got stuck underneath the apparatus. 1,000 pounds. He's screaming because he tore both quad tendons, shattered his tibia. And we're like pulling, you know, everyone comes from the gym, pulling this kid out. He's screaming. I mean, I actually thought, shit, his legs are cut off. You know, I did some old EMT work, and I'm looking around who's got a leather belt. What can we use to freaking put a tourniquet on him? I mean, it was terrible. He had blood because he had an open fracture. It went through. I mean, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And here's the thing, that continues to today. Yeah. I'll go to, we train at Los Campeones sometimes in Minneapolis when it's finally open. Great gym. They have CrossFitters there, but they have strongman. They have an all outside for strongman, power lifters. They have real Olympic lifters there, boxing and bodybuilders. So it's a big complex. So I like that everyone's training with weights. It's kind of fun, but you still see those kids, and some of those kids are in their 30s, get on that damn leg press machine and overload it. And I keep thinking, oh my God, you know, I have PTSD from it. I just have to turn my head.
That's a bad one. Yeah. Every time I see it, like a leg press, I'd see it in my head.
Oh no. I'm like, no. If you can't squat it, don't put it on the leg press.
All right. Always ask all the power lifters, have you ever pooped, peed, vomited during lifting?
Vomited many times. My wife is notorious for peeing on the platform. You know, does it all the time. Never pooped, but no, I vomited. I vomited into the chalk bowl once at a meet because there's nothing around and it was coming up. So of course you just look.
What's the deal with the vomit? See, I never have even the inkling to vomit, but like every time like I hit like a deadlift PR, like I wind up pooping myself.
Oh man.
It's probably because of my awful form.
Yeah, it's probably your bad form. Yeah, that'll do it. You have to send me your video.
Oh no, I will never show my deadlift to anyone ever.
Oh yeah.
No, I'll send it to you. It's bad. My hips are like, my hips pop right up, and it does, like, it's beneficial to the point that like the bar it does rip off the floor.
Yeah.
Like around my knees.
And then you get stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Then it's a matter of like hitching it up my leg.
Yeah.
So like, but basically like the band and the chain work I do helps me to not hitch it up. But yeah, you know exactly what it looks like. It's from Italian. You know.
Oh yeah.
It's basically.
Well, the main thing you got to remember in the deadlift, if you're doing conventional, right? I take it you're doing conventional. No, you're doing sumo. Mm-hmm. Yeah. it's knees, hips.
Like sumo, like my legs are just outside of my arms.
Yeah, it's knees, hips. You really got to force your knees out. So the first movement is not lifting it off the floor. Your first movement is knees out, right?
Yeah. Well, I've been working on, after I'm still doing my heavy because I'm doing this competition. I'm not changing anything now.
No, you can't. Too late.
Doing this is too late. But after I do all my sets and everything, I've been going out a little wider to where I should be, grabbing the bar, and I'll tug on, like I'll put tension on it, and it won't move, and then all of a sudden it breaks.
Yeah.
And it goes, and it's a new feeling to me. And like my wife is like, she's like, yeah, that's how it goes when you're pulling like that sumo. Like it's not going to come ripping off the floor the way you rip it off the floor. Like
no. Do you always take the tension out of the bar when you're deadlifting?
Anything that you would consider proper, not do.
You don't do. Well, the first thing we do when we're coaching either conventional or deadlift is we don't want to hear the plates move. So we actually say there's 300 pounds on the bar. We tell everyone to pull 100 pounds out of the bar and start that tension, load their hamstrings. So when the bar comes up, it's not janking it. You pulled all the tension, the whip. You pull all the whip, all the tension out of the bar. So you come up like a tight coil. And that takes a lot of practice. And that's all we teach them. Oh, I want to lift weights, and they want to lift and stand up. It's like, you're not allowed to stand up with the bar until you can take the tension out. So it's very much like an Olympic lifting. When you're learning the snatch, they set up a rack and just teach you how to hold it first. And that's all you do with a broomstick. They say, no, you're not going to throw anything over your head. You got to know how to hold and balance it. Well, so it's the same thing.
Yeah, we're here live. I'll put a bar.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
We'll do live work, right? This is the first
time
ever with a live deck. I'll do it in my slipper shoes. All right, hold on. Can you see? Can you do with the plate? I should do it. All right, this is a lot of dead air time. You got to tell some jokes or something.
Oh, yeah. So I'll talk right through this dead air time. As you're setting it up, you got to realize that whether you're doing conventional or sumo deadlift, by pulling the tension out of the bar, just you setting up and pulling the tension out of the bar puts you in perfect position. And ready for this, the bar starts to come up and you haven't even pulled. In other words, you haven't made a conscious effort to lift the weight. You're just getting set up. So the idea is to get yourself down and set up into it, get yourself tight. And just by getting yourself tight, the bar should start coming off the floor.
All right. So I've been pulling with my legs inside the knurling, which I think is kind of close for I'm like 5.
That's a mid stance. That's the way Eddie Cohen used to do it.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I want anymore. I want to go out outside the knurling. And then, all right. Can you see me?
I can.
All right, coach me through.
So go ahead and go down.
See, no, I'll do what I usually do, right? This is what my regular deadlift would look like.
Well, that's just horrible. Put it back down. I don't want to see that again. That's hard on my eyes. So go down and get set up.
You got to be a little nicer.
You're from New York. Come on, I'm from Baltimore. We can be honest.
All right.
So go ahead and get set up. Flatten your back. Tighten your hamstrings. Now take some weight out of the bar. Take the tension out and hold it. Okay. Yep. Now come up. There you go. Feel the difference?
You want me to squeeze my hamstrings?
Squeeze your hamstrings. That was great.
Before I pick it up?
Yeah. Just like you're doing RDL or, a glute ham raise. Flatten your back. All right, now squeeze your hamstrings to take the tension out. Now come up. There you go. Wow.
All right, now I need to do that with like over 400 pounds.
Well, you're not going to do it over 400 pounds today, but here's the thing. You're with sloppy form, you're doing, 400 pounds. Once you learn how to do it biomechanically correct like that for your body, that's a perfect lift for your body. Guess what? You'll pull 500. You'll pull 500 this year. People don't realize that the limitations of your strength have nothing to do with your muscles. It's structure, technique, and nervous system. Structure, technique, and nervous system. And once you learn how to get the right technique, you'll be able to pull it out. I'll give you a good example. Our training partner, Amir, has been doing 400 forever. We finally said, you know what? We're loading it up. We're working on squat. We're working on keeping your back upright, sitting back, opening your hips. We put 600 pounds on the bar and he got it. Now his brain was wiped out. He just can't believe he could do it. And I go, has nothing to do with your size. It has nothing to do with, you got to get bigger muscles. You already had enough muscular strength to lift the weight. You're just not tapping it, because when you have bad form, our nervous system shuts muscles down to prevent injury, right? To prevent injury. So yeah. if I took a hammer, or like when your wife busted her elbow, I guarantee her shoulder, her pec, her bicep wouldn't work. There's nothing wrong with them. She had a fracture. Why do we do that? Our bodies protect it. Well, you get in a bad form, say you have the wrong, for whatever your leverages are, your structure, you get the wrong bench press form, you're never going to bench heavy. Yeah. It's got to be right for you. So it's always this balance of turning all the muscles on and turning all the muscles off to prevent injury. That's the game of powerlifting and in getting your technique right. I mean, I was right there when Dave Hoff, I was 6 feet away when he squatted 1267. Our old coach, James Burdett, benched at 220, 800 pounds, and it's all about technique. I mean, he does 600 raw, 800 with a shirt on. I mean, at 220, it's all technique. It's crazy. When I started training with those guys again, I took like a big chunk of time off to have a family and have a career. But when I started back a good 7-8 years ago, oh my goodness, all we do is concentrate on technique. I remember laying down on the bench and he gave me an empty bar to bench for like a month. Talk about knocking your ego down until I could get the technique right.
So you want to try it, Rob? Take a look at your deadlift form? Well, I'll put the bumper plates on. You want to take a look at my wife's deadlift?
Sure.
I'll put the 10-pound plates on for her. All right, you got to fill the air time again.
So, the main thing when you're deadlifting or you're squatting or you're benching, you got to get a good coach that can look at your structure. How long are your arms? How long are your legs? Where are your hip attachments? Just to see, what kind of form you need. And then again, if you're injured and you've busted yourself up, you're going to have to change and adapt your form. You can't use the form that's on YouTube. You can't use the form that big guy, that gym bro in the gym showed you how to do, because that worked good for him and 80% of his clients. Once you're injured, you're special. So you have to figure that out, what the difference is. So many times, form's a constant game. I liken it to golf, and I hate to, use an analogy of powerlifting golf, but it's all technique. You know who Tiger Woods is, right?
Yeah.
Well, Tiger Woods has had to change his technique 7 times. Why? Because he got bigger, he got injured, he's got a bad back. It's the same thing in powerlifting.
All right, can you see your deadlift?
Yeah, I can.
In my opinion, I like her deadlift. I think she's got a great form.
You got to round it back. I liked how you started that with setting your shoulder blades back and down and then you bent over and you released it. Why did you let it go? So bend down and grab the bar, set your shoulder, hold that position, hold that position. Now I want you to contract your glutes and your hamstrings, pull the slack, the whip out of the bar. Don't bring the bar up. Just stay down there. Yep. And pull some tension out. There we go. Keep your knees out. Do you feel the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good form. Yeah, you when you set your shoulders back like that, that's fantastic. Then you bend over and you let it go. Don't let it go.
Yeah. I think it's super light right now. I think.
Yeah, you probably need some weight on there to feel it. But just remember to always take the whip out of the bar. You should not feel any whip when you lift that thing. There should be no sound of the plates coming off the ground. It should be silent. If you can hear the plates, you're not tight enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, like in a squat and a bench, we have elastic recoil, right? We bring it down, we get tight, 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 and we bang it up. Squat, you go down, 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 you're getting crunch, you bang it up. Deadlift's a dead weight lift. So you have to put the recoil in. You have to get yourself so tight that you start. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, she's a good lifter, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she'll do fine.
She's good looking, too.
Is she going to nationals? What are you guys doing?
What's this meet?
It's the American Challenge. It's like our national.
Yeah, it's called the American Challenge. It's like nationals. They do it all over the world, right?
They do it all over the U.S. and then they add up the totals. So like in your weight class, you compete against like the different people.
Yeah, so instead of having everyone come to one place, they have them everywhere, and then they figure it out.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
It's like, yeah.
You guys should try like the APF, AAPF. They have raw drug tested everything. That's a good fed. USPA is a good one. I don't know what's big in New York.
I think a big thing, like my wife won't go to an organization that has an undrug tested component to it. She does not want to, which I understand. I get it. Like, so like any organization that has like a non-drug tested
component.
Yeah, she don't want to go to.
Oh, I totally understand that. I've always been, I want to go compete against the biggest, strongest lifters possible. It's like, Fred, why did you go to super heavyweight? You're usually 275. Well, I can't compete with some of the supplements these guys are taking, especially the Germans, but I can get fat and lift the same weight. So, yeah, I mean, I have no problem with it. I'm always give me the biggest bully on the block, and I don't care what it is, because like you said, what would be your biggest compliment is to get tested, right? Yeah. So why not?
Basically, like you're on like a infinite bulk.
Yeah. Well, my wife said because of my back and my doctors too, and I think so too, that I'm going to come down. So I'll probably this time next year, if you interview me again, I'll probably be 275 and have a 6-pack. I don't like having bumps of shame. I had them for years. You look good, but you don't feel strong. I mean, I like being strong enough that I'm not worried about locked doors because I just walk through them. I like that feeling, I don't know. It's a high, it's a high being able to throw big weights around. But again, I got to think of more of my health. So I got to bring that down.
I was going through some pictures in my folder for powerlifting yesterday, and I saw a picture of me squatting in my underwear. And that's a team tradition we have. If your birthday happens to fall on a squat day, you got to squat in your underwear. I'm trying to make this a national thing.
That's pretty good. Well, we call it, it's not weird, it's powerlifting. It's actually on our team shirts, because when you're a gear lifter, you're always taking this stuff off and your friends are helping you get dressed and all that. It's a silly sport when looking from the outside.
Well, let me ask you a question, right? So like the story about why like we started Raw, right? Yeah. Was, because we had a team of about 30 people in college, and maybe 20 of them couldn't afford the stuff.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's basically went into raw lifting because we were poor lifting, and then we just stuck with it.
Yeah.
It was because that's what we learned. It was the first, you know, and to us, like, the geared lifting is like, I remember when we first started, it was like the most bizarre thing. And like, now that I'm older, and especially because of like Instagram, you know, like, I just see so many people doing it and training with it. I'm like, I guess it's maybe not that weird. And, you know,
you ready for this, Michael?
Yeah.
So because I've been around for a while, raw lifting's new.
Right.
We always had equipped. So if you ask your guy who started in the 70s and 80s, you know, someone came out with a marathon suit. You had one or two people in a meet. The next meet, we all had it.
Yeah.
Then there was the marathon gold line wraps that, you know, two people had these. Oh, they had these things called knee wraps. Guess what? The next meet, we all had it. Yeah. Then someone in the late 80s, 90s, Enzer came out with this tight t-shirt. It gave you 20 pounds. We were cheating. You know, it's called the blast shirt. One person wore that and beat me. Guess what I did the next meet? I had one of those damn things, and I went from 500 to 520. Woo! Right? So when you look at that, powerlifting's always evolved with more equipment. And then maybe 20 years ago, they decided to say, well, let's have a raw division.
Yeah.
And that took off. What really pushed raw, and you're going to like this, is CrossFit. Because anybody can do CrossFit. You know, you get yourself some Olympic weightlifting shoes, you go out there and you get a little tiny paper leather belt, and you're a CrossFitter. I'm an Olympic lifter. I'm a power lifter. Really? Well, you know, that's actually evolved. So CrossFit helped women with weights, soccer moms with weights. Weightlifting became popular. And then all of a sudden, well, it's easy to do it now because all you need is a singlet and a belt and you can be a power lifter. And I'm okay with that. I was always okay with that. But the thing is that it's interesting how some people in the raw division, they're like, oh, you know, you equip lifters. I'm like, stop. Yeah. I'm from the days where it was always equipped. You're new.
It's true. It's a lot of trash talk, like in like the, like, I think even like I can't remember what the motto or whatever it is for our organization. It's, you know, it's like 100% raw is the name.
Yeah.
It's like something like where real lifters push real weight. Something like that. Basically, like,
yeah,
something about like the geared lifting. But I don't know. Yeah, I think I was thinking about doing a geared meet, trying it after this competition. But I think really my main goal is going to be to fix my deadlift.
Yeah.
And then, you know, compete like that. And then maybe after that. So let's say, right, let's say I was going to try to start competing with equipment, right, tomorrow.
Yep.
What would I do? Would I get a single ply suit? Would I get a canvas?
Nope. You just get groove briefs. You could get an old suit off the internet, off, you know, someone's old single ply suit, cut the straps off, and you have briefs to protect your hips. It just puts compression on them, and start with that. Learn how to squat in them. That's it. That's all you need. Just learn how to do it. Yeah. Just the briefs.
What would you do? Would you only train like 4 weeks before the competition with that? Or would you train
No, 12 weeks. You do the whole thing because you got to it's a different form. It absolutely is different form. When people talk about Olympic lifting, raw powerlifting is a completely different sport than geared powerlifting. I look at us as like dragsters, you know, we're doing a lot. We're going, you know, 600-700 miles an hour or 500 miles an hour down a road, quarter mile. You guys, the raw people, are NASCAR. You're going 200, but all day. It's all the same. It's all cars. Yeah. But, you know, even a 4-year-old can look at a dragster and a NASCAR and say they're different. Yeah. They're absolutely different. Now, can you be good at both? Yes. Your best geared lifters are fantastic raw because we train raw year round.
I guarantee you I could probably be bad at both.
I don't think so, because you were able with just a few cues and instructions and coaching to change your deadlift form. I'm a hardhead. It takes me months, like to say, Fred, we got to move your hand here. And I have so many old tapes I play. It's so hard for me to coach. Like my wife, she can listen to one cue, one coaching tip and change it and be good at it, but she's a swimmer too. She's a varsity swim coach, an old varsity swim coach. And her whole family was swimmers, kind of like you. Her brother was a Division I swimmer, her sister Division II. Swimming was in their family. So they were used to that coaching, move your arm this way, you're kicking the wrong way, do this. And she just applied that to powerlifting. Me, I'm a hard head, so it's all about form. You'd be amazed at how strong you get. Now, here's the thing with equipment. I always tell people, go get your equipment, try it on. People don't do well with it. You have to learn to train in it. It's a different feel. The groove is different. The form's different. I laugh when someone puts on a bench shirt, say they bench 400. I'm going to do 500 today. They put it on and they can't get 420 in it. And I just laugh. And I said, it's different. It's a completely different groove. Yeah, you may be able to get 450, 500 if you do 400 raw with the shirt. Great. You're going to get 50 to 100 pounds carryover. And I always say you're not competing against another raw person. So, you see a 600 pound, equipped bench press. That's fantastic. That's like a 405 raw. Great. I cheer for both. You know what I mean? It's too, I like college football and NFL football. I'll even watch Canadian football sometimes. It's all good, but it's a different way of training. For me, I'm not as sore and beat up using the equipment, and I can train heavier.
Are you by the Canadian border?
Huh? No. Yeah, Minnesota's on the border. I don't live by it. It's like 7 hours away. Minnesota's a big state.
Not on the border then. No,
Yeah.
I got a buddy from Buffalo, and I know some people up there. And people on the border tend to not like people from Canada. And it's like they'll be like, oh, they think they're better than us. But if you go on the Canadian side, it's like we don't like them because they think they're better than us.
Sounds like raw versus equipped lifter. There is a lot of trash talking, but you have to understand Dave Hoff trains raw. Do you understand that? It's like, do you really think he puts, 1,200, 1,300 pounds on his back every day? He trains. No.
Did you listen to my podcast with Pat Susko?
I know who Pat Susko is. Yeah.
I did a podcast with him maybe like 2 ago. I used to live right by him, and when I graduated college, I didn't have a coach or anything, and we were training in this probably one of the best gyms we ever trained at. It was totally illegal. It was like underneath this pool hall.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
And Pat Susko was training there. He was squatting then like you, he's squatting like 9 something, and I was squatting like 2 something, and he was like, oh yeah, you could lift with us and work out. Can you imagine, someone who's on the cover like Powerlifting USA, like just being like, yeah, come on, work out, hang out with us, no problem, and he knew like we lifted raw, and we weren't into doing steroids. He's like, whatever, do your thing, but you go lift with us,
No, that's the attitude of Nemesis. So on our team, at one time we had 1,000-pound squatter, couple 9s, bunch of 8s. We have a guy who squats 950 and he weighs 190. Eddie Lone Eagle. We just won the Worlds if you want to look him up. Great guy. But and we have people like Shannon, a gal. She's raw. She's going for her first meet or second meet. She's going to try for a 240. That's great. We have the full range, and we work with a lot of high school kids. We don't care if you start with 95 pounds. And I only see this in powerlifting. I don't see in any other sport where if you get a good team and a good group, the people doing 900 get the same respect as the people doing 95.
Yeah.
We just want you to improve. I only see that in powerlifting. And I'm involved in bodybuilding and in football and many other sports. I don't see it in any other sport. In powerlifting, like Pat gave you the time of day. In fact, he was helping you with technique. Try this, try this. Here's a guy doing almost 1,000 pounds, right? And, he's going to help you out. Of course. Why not? Because I see, and the reason powerlifters are like that, because we used to be that guy just squatting. I used to just squat 2 plates. Yeah. I remember it well. Because when I squatted 2 plates, I think I was like 14, and I finally got to 2 1/4. I jumped up and down like a crazy person. If we had phones back then, I would have taken pictures. I was very excited, and I was excited about the 225 when I was 14, the same as the 940 I did in the 90s. In my late 20s. You know what I mean? As a chiropractor, I'm like, oh, it's the same. There's no difference.
It's funny. I asked Pat, said, I was like, when you did I think it was 920.
Yeah.
I think it was 1992. I said, with the gear now, right? I was like, you think you'd be over 1,000 pounds? He was like, maybe. But he was like, you know what? Like, you can't compare me with the guys today. You have to compare me with the guys from yesterday. He was like,
Oh, I agree with him. I try not to compare myself back then because I'm older, got more injuries. And like you said, you got to learn the equipment. Like we had this marathon back when Pat had, we had this single ply suit, and it gave you, if you trained it well, maybe 40 or 50 pounds. That was a big deal if you knew how to use it well. Nowadays, suits can do way more than that, but you have to train it, get it customized. It's a whole big deal.
Now, it looks like a crisscrosses over the top of you. What is that thing?
Oh, they're straps. So it's not, the straps aren't together. They're Velcroed, so you can tighten it down even more. So if you get a suit, even if it's customized, you may not want that tightness on your first attempt, second attempt, third attempt, because the more weight you have, right, it pushes you down. So you can actually control the tightness of the suit with that Velcro, right? Lasts more.
Okay.
Yeah.
No idea. Yeah. See.
Yeah. Michael, it is a completely, you have to be a technician to do multiplied geared powerlifting at a high level. So, and I'm not talking trash, but sometimes I'm like, I look at the raw people and I'm like, they got it easy because they just have to train, get their tendons and muscles strong. We have to learn how to use all this crazy equipment correctly. Yeah. And again, I could go raw and could compete raw, and in masters over 50, I do well, but I don't want to squat 700. Why? I want to put, I did 854 for an American record in August in South Dakota, because it was the only state open to qualify for worlds. I don't want to squat 700 raw for a master's guy. That's good. That's fantastic. I don't want to do it. I'd rather squat 850, and again, I'm not comparing the two. I'm not saying one's better, because I know I could do raw. There's no way I'd squat 800 there. I'd be in the 7s. But I don't want to, because honestly, I squatted, what did I do? I did 705 with knee wraps in the training on the way up, because we train raw. You can't wear that stuff all the time, but it didn't count. It was in the gym, and who cares? But it's like, you can't, it's comparing apples and oranges. So when I watch USAPL or other things, I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. Oh, look at that guy. He just squatted 700 pounds. Fantastic. Oh, look at this guy in this federation. He squatted 900. Fantastic. You know what I mean? I don't get, oh, that's because, he's got all that equipment on. You're right. So, exactly.
Give you on steroids and like HGH and all this, like performance enhancing drugs.
So back in my day, they were legal. In the 80s, they were legal. Yeah. If you got pulled over in the early 80s, late 70s in your car, and you had a bag full of steroids and a bag full of painkillers, they arrest you for the painkillers, right? Steroids are legal. They've always been in the sport since the 50s and 60s. And just like Pat told you, you can't compare the different eras for the equipment. It's the same now. When I used to go to the nutrition store, we'd get Bob Hoffman's soy-based protein powder, which was like plaster of Paris. You had a 1-a-day multivitamin, and we did bee pollen. Woo! And that's what we used. That was in the early 80s. Then Joe Weider came out with all these vitamins, and then, all this crazy stuff came out. Nowadays, you can walk into GNC, because I just did it a month ago, and they have like pre-testosterone things. You guys got creatine now. Oh my God, the vitamins I have on my shelf, we got these vitamins that hit you that quick. I mean, like we talked about vitamin D. You can get vitamin D anywhere. You can get it you couldn't get it back then. So when people say, oh, you're taking steroids, I'm like, are you kidding me? The people who just took D-ball, Danabol into oral steroid back in the 70s and 80s, they didn't get the amount of effort you get out of your creatine and pre-workout. And then there's post-workout and branched chain amino acids. And then you got something you take at night. And you got this blender where you make these smoothies. We had plaster of Paris, I mean, I actually used to just get dried milk. We add water and you get this terrible milk. I'd add dry milk to my milk and put a thing of ice cream in it, because that was my protein drink when in the 80s. That's what we had. Now you guys got stuff. You got whey protein, casein protein. It's micro filtered, so it hits your system fast. And I'm like, and these are the same people crying because this person took a shot of testosterone. Are you kidding me? There's no way that shot of testosterone is doing all the things with all the pills, potions, and lotions you have on the counter. So that's kind of where I get like, a good example is the Olympics, right? The Olympics is clean. They test it. I mean, they got rid of the Russians. I mean, they test all the time. How the hell is human performance, how are records in all the Olympic sports continuing to improve? There's only one reason.
I think they continuously look at the last athlete and how he did it and try and, look and see maybe where, maybe if he did it this way,
Oh, no, I agree. I think a lot of, you can't compare the errors because, like we talk about Amir or one of our buddies, they have so many vitamins and supplements. I mean, right now, if you look on top of my counter, I have liquid protein in cans, so I can just pop it and drink it. That used to take me, 15 minutes to make before. Now it's in a can. The ease and access of and understanding nutritional science has moved all sports forward. The NFL really does test. I have a lot of friends who are in the NFL, ex-players, current players. And guess what? All those people, they really do test. They can't be on roids, but they're all taking pre-workouts, post-workouts, the creatine and casein and I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, we used to eat raw eggs, like the Rocky movie. We really did do that. That's all we had. So I don't get caught up in those kind of things. Of course, if you look at the top level, they're using something. They're all using something. But, when people say, oh, I'm clean, and I'm like, you just did creatine, branched chain amino acids, a pre-workout, a post-workout, and you're taking a liquid multivitamin. Really? I don't know. So how do you compare those? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that when I started lifting, it was just my coach, and that's all I knew. And it was like, basically like there was like, like the dark side and the good side, The dark side was the steroids. They were evil, and the good people didn't use steroids, and that's the way that's the, like the mindset I had, like if you were on, like you were evil. And then I got out of college and I met Pat Susko, and I was like, wait a second, he's not evil. He's a nice guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He just does his thing, and he don't have a problem that we do our thing.
Yeah. Well, it's very similar. And I look at it this way, if you got asthma and you take a puffer, that's really, you're actually helping, because if you take it and you're not having an asthma attack, It's an upper, right? Albuterol is an upper. It'll get you moving. It's actually illegal in the Olympics. But I know people that with their asthma, they take that. If they get sick, they take an antibiotic. They're taking Advil for their knee pain. And they're saying, oh, I'm natural. You're not natural. I mean, you got painkiller in you, antibiotic because your immune system sucks and your lungs suck. So you got something to open it up and I'm sorry. No, you're not natural. So what is natural? And I'm not trying to defend either, but I grew up where we're like, hey, if you're going to use this shit because you want an extra couple percentage, you want to go from 800 to 820, great. Go ahead. I'm not going to tell you, who to sleep with, what church to go to. It's America. But you know what? Don't go into a test it because we're going to nail you. It's not fair. You know what I mean? It's not fair. And I just grew up with that. No one's evil. The only people we hated is people that said they were clean and weren't. That's the ones that we went after. We're like, okay, we're going to nail this guy. And then the people that I know, a lot of people here in Minnesota, I got a great Brad Gillingham story. U.S. Apple lifter, IPF. I think he's pulled 800 in competition more times than any powerlifter in history, like over 60 different competitions. Guy's about 360. All his brothers are like 6'2", 6'3" in their 300s, all strong men. I mean, doing the world's strongest man stuff. His dad played for Vince Lombardi on the Packers, big guy. So genetically, they're all freaks, right? Brad comes to a meet to coach and judge. And the officials from the U.S. Apple state meet came up to say, Brad, we want to test you. We're doing out of meet testing. He goes, I'm here to help out. He goes, nope, we're out of meet testing you. So I don't like that clicky thing where you're like, why are you trying to catch Brad? He's been tested 60 some times. He's fine. You're really going to bother him because your small mindset can't train as hard as him. And that's the one thing I always did. It's like, I always wanted to train with the guys that were using. And I don't care because I want to be pushed. I don't ever want to have an excuse. Well, they beat me because they were using. Screw that. I got lost because I'm weak. I lost because I'm weak. I never wanted an excuse. I grew up with a whole different mentality where, well, the bully beat me up because he used brass knuckles. I don't care. I'm going to learn to be better with him without brass knuckles.
My wife always gets tested because she always wins best female on the world.
Yeah.
Because don't let her, don't tell her that I said she's small. Yeah. She's I heard you from upstairs. She said, I heard you.
Well, she could pick up more muscle. It matters. But again, if we have a 132-pound guy who's going to go after Doug Heath's bench records, geared. It's like a 410 bench press. World record's been around since the 90s. And he's going to get it probably in June. So Hunter Hernandez, he's from Vegas and started training with us. So, I mean, we make fun of him because he's physically small, but he's strong as hell. We don't want him to gain any more muscle because he's got to stay in the 132s.
I think people have to start giving more respect to the little people, because everyone likes to see 1,000 pounds get moved, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if the guy weighs 800 pounds, no one weighs 800 pounds, whatever. But
yeah,
he's close to 400 pounds, and he's squatting 1,000 pounds. Everyone wants to see it right there.
Yeah.
1,000 pounds. People really don't go crazy when someone that weighs 102 pounds squats, 300 pounds.
No, I would. So you
have to be someone that's in the sport for a long.
You have to be a student of the sport, right?
Understand it, yeah.
You got to be a student. I'm a student of the sport. So like, if I saw your wife lift, I'd be jumping around crazy. Like I said, with Hunter, Hunter was trying to go up to 148. So I need to get big. I go, Hunter, you're benching 370. You weigh 136. Now he's got the shirt on, but do you know how close you are to an all-time world record?
Yeah.
And, we were figuring it out, looking it up online. He goes, I'm going to go for it. I'm like, hell yeah. Train for it. To me, so I was on a national podcast being interviewed, Strength and Anger. And they always ask, who's your favorite power lifter? And they expect me to say like Bill Kazmaier or Dave Hoff or all that. Doug Heath, my favorite power lifter all the time. He won the world's 20 times over, 132, 148 lifter.
Yeah.
He's the guy who invented psyching. He used to yell and scream and jump on the bench, throw things. And now everyone does it in every sport. They psych up. But in the 70s, he invented it. But they were like, Doug Heath. They go, yeah, Doug Heath. Wiry little guy. And he was little. He would say he was little, but ripped to the bone. Always ripped. He was on the cover of Powerlifting USA a couple of times, back when it was black and white. He was in a bunch of issues, but, you know, open powerlifting, you'll see Doug. Doug, great guy, firefighter. You know, and I got to meet him finally last year, and it just a great guy. Helps out. He works with a lot of high school kids, teaching them. And to me, he's the best power lifter ever. I mean, winning like 19 world championships, but no one talks about him. You know why? 148, 132.
Yeah. What's he squatting? 500?
7.
Wow.
He did. Now it's equipped. So what would that be raw? It'd be 500, right?
It's raw, probably 550, 600, something.
Yeah.
It's still
but
100.
Exactly.
It's insane.
It's insane. Well, yeah, he holds the world records, but how many people know the people who hold the world records in the 132s and 148s? No one. Now I pay attention to it. My second favorite lifter, he's a wreck now, was Hikita in ABBA. Do you know who that is? He won the world championships like 11 times back in the 70s and 80s, 114-pound class. He was the first guy to sumo deadlift. And he would pull like something crazy, like almost 400 pounds at 114. 114. Come on. That's crazy.
Well, you were lifting back then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I wasn't born yet, so.
Yeah. We didn't have the internet, so we got Powerlifting USA magazine, and I would come and all the results would be in the back, right. Just list of results. And I would just study those because, you know, to me, it was about all the weight classes. I mean, everyone wants to be big, but, you know, when you see someone, oh, this guy just benched 300 and he weighs 123, you know, that's insane. You know, that's like a 300-pound guy benching 9, right? You know.
Yeah, I wish we got a new guy on our team. I can't even remember like those weight classes that low. I think he's 132. Yeah. He's squatting 300 right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's doing. He just started too. So
he just started.
He just started.
He's going to be national level quickly. Yeah. I mean, that's crazy.
Good squat. He's deadlifting like the deadlift's okay, like the 3. Maybe at this meet, I think he'll pull maybe close to 4, hopefully.
Wow.
The bench, well, I don't know what he's going to pull as bench, but I mean, he's just touch and go bench in like 185, so it's probably like 150 or something like that.
Okay. So crazy.
You know what? Like, I mean, we can go. I mean, we're like been talking for a long time. We can go on forever.
I got about 6 more minutes, if that's okay.
Yeah. All right. That's good. We'll end it in 6 minutes. Yeah. Like, let's talk about, right, like, everyone's got, like, their best lift. You know, no one's, like, good at all 3, I found. They're very few, maybe Ed Cohn, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's, like, you know, like genetic freaks that are good at, like, all 3. But most people, for some reason, their body, their proportions just don't lend themselves to, like, you know, to one of the lifts.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? Like, I'm pretty good in the bench. It just naturally can do it well. The squat, I wasn't, but I eventually gained the strength to finally start to, like, you know, get that back up, you know? And so the deadlift's the last one, just technique-wise, but I don't know. I mean, right now, my bench and my squat are about the same weight.
Mm-hmm.
I would say my bench is probably my better lift.
Well, you can work that, see, and that's where technique and form will change. Sometimes we'll take someone's like, you know, yeah, I'm benching 500 and I squat 6. And I'm like, nope, we'll get you to a 700-pound squat by changing your form and getting you to use your leverages to your best advantage. And basically that's what powerlifting is. And really that's what life's about, is getting a leverage and using your leverage to your best advantage.
Well, I think I really found what the key was. You know, I've been studying for this the NASM, the personal training certificate, and it's pretty good, the stuff in there. And it was saying like a lot of like the form issues that I'm having are glute related.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I tried Zercher squats, and those really hit my glutes. I don't know. Have you ever done them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, did you use an apparatus or did you just shove it into your? Oh yeah.
I just shoved it in because I wasn't gonna buy the apparatus before I tried it a couple times.
Okay.
And man, I've never felt something so deep in my butt.
Oh yeah. We have the apparatus. We just hook it on, and those are nice. Those are really nice to do. Yeah.
I wanted to try it a couple times like that first, but like I'm so weak there now, like that. Like after this, I'm not even gonna start doing it now till after this competition because it's hurting my glutes so bad that like I'm sore for like 6 days.
Well, that's great. So do it every other week.
Yeah.
Don't do it every week. And that's one thing in powerlifting. If I can leave your listeners with anything, it's just not about finding your technique. It's about recovery. When I was working with some Soviet coaches, and you know what those are, you know, my kids have no idea, the Russians. I had this Soviet coach tell me something. It took me to my like 30s to figure out what he meant. And he goes, Fred, there's no such thing as overtraining, just under recovery.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what that meant back then. I was a kid, but now I understand it. So for you, you're not recovering. That's okay. You don't force it. You go every other week. And that's another problem with raw and geared lifting. People don't realize that at certain time of the year, certain time in your history, how old you are, whatever, you heal, you recover at a different rate. And most of the time, people are either overtraining or they're undertraining because they don't understand. They're not paying attention intuitively. You're saying, oh, it takes me 6 days to recover. Okay, then you should probably do it every 10 days. Not every 2 weeks, every 10 days. Anthony Clark, I don't know if you know who he is. First guy used to do a reverse grip bench press. Good friend of mine, training partner. Reverse grip, 800 pounds in like one of those stupid blast shirts that didn't help. But he would squat every 10 days because he didn't recover. He would deadlift every 14 and bench every 8. And he figured that out. And, you know, I'm like, and that's when I learned, oh, that's what this under recovery means. He goes, yeah, this is what works for me. You know, if I do it too close, I don't recover. I get hurt. I get these nitpicky injuries. You know, my lifts don't go up. If I give it too much time, you know, nothing moves and I feel stagnant. You know, this, I feel perfect. I'm like, wow. And that's the thing too. We're so used to like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, this is what you do, or 4 times a week. Yeah. And I'm like, where did that come from? It didn't come from anything. You know, someone made it up and everyone followed it.
I used to squat and bench twice a week. And, you know, I don't think I'm that old. I'm 37, but I had to go down to only squatting once a week, benching once a week, deadlifting once a week, you know.
Yeah.
I had to lower it. It just, I couldn't handle it.
Yeah. And everyone's different. So yeah, I'm going to have to run here pretty soon, Michael. This has been great.
All right. Well, listen, I love doing these podcasts. I make a new friend every time. And later tonight, me and my wife, we're going to we're going to talk with a husband and wife that own a CrossFit gym.
Oh, it's fun.
Do it. So you got that one.
There's again, you know, anything that puts weights in the hands of the public, I'm for. I just don't like the attitude that people think they can learn those technical lifts in a weekend. Yeah. You know, you just can't. I'm still learning, and I've been doing this for, you know, 39 years. You know, I'm still learning. So.
All right. Well, it's been great talking to you.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
Bye.
Bye-bye.